the young, and the restless spoilers. Hey everyone, welcome back to the. It is Tuesday, a beautifully sunny day outside, but inside the world of Genoa City, it is an absolute thunderstorm of drama. Honestly, we are barely keeping up with the chaos this week, but we have to talk about it. Grab your coffee, take a deep breath, and let's just dive right into the absolute madness. So let's just start with the biggest, most insane elephant in the room. Jack Abbott is currently lying in a hospital bed fighting for his actual life because Patty Williams stabbed him. I mean, we all knew Patty was completely unhinged. We have been watching Patty Williams terrorize this town for decades. Remember when she got plastic surgery to look exactly like Dr. Emily Peterson? Remember when she shot Victor? We knew she was spiraling again, but actually plunging a knife into Jack after everything they have been through, it is just wild. And honestly, it feels like we are right back in the darkest, most chaotic days of this show. Last week we saw Tracy, sweet, angelic, novel writing Tracy Abbott literally pulling Patty by the hair and screaming at her until she confessed, which, by the way, was iconic. Tracy is the absolute MVP right now. Uh, she got the confession to prove Diane's innocence in the stabbing, but a confession doesn't magically heal a stab wound. Jack is still bleeding. Jack is still in that bed, and the ripple effects of this violent act are just tearing the whole town apart piece by piece. And of course, the absolute second Nikki Newman hears about this stabbing, she completely drops everything. I mean, Nikki and Jack, Jack and Nikki, they have this deep, complicated bond that just never goes away, no matter how many times Victor tries to destroy it or how many years pass. So Nikki finds out that Patty stabbed Jack, and she is just frantic. She has to see him. But Nikki hasn't exactly been in the best shape herself lately. Let's be real, we all know she's been having those terrifying, blinding headaches. She genuinely believes she is dying. Victor has been playing the absolute worst kind of mind games with her. He's been drugging her, manipulating her fear, and tricking her into signing away her Newman Enterprises shares into a trust that he controls. It's sick. It really is. He is literally looting his wife's estate while she thinks she's on her deathbed. But even through the heavy haze of whatever sedatives Victor is pumping into her system, Nikki's love for Jack pushes through. She refuses to stay away. So Victoria has to bring her to the hospital. Victoria Newman, who is already so incredibly suspicious of what her father is doing to her mother's estate, takes Nikki to see Jack. You can just picture this scene, right? Victoria guiding a frail, stumbling, but fiercely determined Nikki down those sterile, bright hospital corridors. It's actually really sad when you think about it. Nikki is basically fighting her own failing body right now, but she refuses to let Jack be alone. She finally gets to his room, and she just collapses into the chair next to his bed. She's asking a million questions. Is he going to be okay? What did the doctors say? Is the bleeding stopped? She is just hovering over him, hoping and praying that he pulls through. And honestly, it's a beautiful moment. It reminds you of why we love them together. They just get each other on a level that Victor will never understand. But then, oh boy, then the hospital room door swings open, and in walks Diane Jenkins Abbott, and Kyle is right there with her. Now, let's be real for a second and look at the context. Diane has been through absolute psychological and physical hell recently. She was kidnapped. She was locked in a strange room with barred windows. She was gaslit by that creepy doctor, Lawrence Markham, who told her she was having a severe mental breakdown and that Jack authorized her captivity. And all of that nightmare was orchestrated by Patty Williams, the exact same Patty Williams who just stabbed her husband. So Diane is already running on zero sleep, zero sanity, and pure, unadulterated adrenaline. She walks into her husband's hospital room, desperate to see him, and who does she see sitting by his bed, holding his hand, acting like the grieving widow, Nikki Newman, her absolute worst enemy, the woman she has hated for literal decades. You can practically feel the temperature in the room drop to absolute zero. Diane is furious. I mean, she is seeing red. She immediately starts pointing fingers. She looks at Nikki and she just starts going off. She blames Victor for everything. She screams that Victor is the one who brought Patty back to Genoa City. Victor is the one who caused all this trouble. Victor is the puppet master who set this entire chain of violent events into motion. And you guys, maybe I'm being too harsh on Victor here. No, wait, I'm not. Victor totally does his kind. He loves using unstable people like Patty as weapons against the abbot. Diane is screaming at the top of her lungs that if Victor hadn't interfered, Patty wouldn't have been in a position to stab Jack. She blames Victor, and by extension, she blames Nikki for always standing by him and enabling his toxic behavior. And here is where the scene gets really, really crazy. You'd expect Nikki to stand up and defend Victor. That's what she always does. She defends her man. She protects the Newman name, but not today. Today, Nikki actually agrees with Diane. I know. I was completely shocked too. Nikki looks at Diane, looks at Jack's unconscious face, and she says, "You're right." Nikki blames Victor too. She knows her husband is a monster when it comes to his hatred for Jack. And in this moment, Nikki makes it very clear that her loyalty is to Jack. She basically tells Diane and Kyle that she is disgusted by Victor's actions, that Victor has gone too far this time, and that she will always care about Jack more than Victor's petty, destructive vendettas. It's a huge, earth-shattering moment of validation for Jack and Nikki's relationship. But, and this is a massive but, the spoilers for later this week say that Victor and Nikki are going to start a new chapter by the end of the week. What? What were the writers thinking? How do we go from Nikki literally blaming Victor for Jack getting stabbed to them starting a new romantic chapter? Honestly, who actually believes this is going to end well? It's the classic Victor and Nikki toxic loop. He does something horrific. She hates him. He manipulates her, probably using her severe health crisis right now to make her dependent on him, and she falls right back. It is so exhausting to watch. We have been watching this same cycle since the 1980s. But for this one brief, shining moment in the hospital, Nikki is Team Jack. So Nikki is sitting there agreeing that Victor is awful, probably thinking that her agreement will calm Diane down, but it doesn't. It does the exact opposite. Diane doesn't want Nikki's agreement. Diane doesn't want to bond over how bad Victor is. Diane wants Nikki's blood. Let's zoom out and look at the bigger pattern here. Diane has been pushed way, way too far. She was locked in a padded cell. She found out her husband was being blackmailed for sex by his crazy ex-wife. Now, that same ex-wife has stabbed him, and Nikki Newman, the woman who has judged Diane, mocked Diane, and tried to run Diane out of town for years, is sitting there acting like the victim acting like she has a right to be at Jack's bedside. Diane just snaps. I mean, she completely, totally loses her mind. The pressure cooker explodes. Let's take a second to really think about the history between Diane and Nikki. These two women have been at each other's throats for as long as I can remember. We are talking about decades of bad blood. Remember the days when Diane was working as an architect and constantly trying to edge her way into Victor's life? Remember when Diane faked her own death and Nikki was actually the prime suspect for a hot minute? They have slapped each other. They have thrown drinks in each other's faces. They have pushed each other into pools. But this is different. Choking someone in an intensive care unit is crossing a line that you can't just walk back from. Diane has always been manipulative and calculating, but this is raw, feral violence. It shows just how deeply broken she is right now. She isn't thinking about the consequences. She isn't thinking about how this will affect Kyle or Summer or anyone else. She just wants to hurt the woman sitting next to her husband. Diane lunges at Nikki. She doesn't just slap her. She doesn't just yell at her to get out. Diane literally wraps her hands around Nikki Newman's throat and starts choking her right there in the hospital room. It is absolute pandemonium. Diane is screaming. Her eyes are wild. She is just squeezing the life out. And you have to remember, Nikki is already weak. She's been having these massive headaches. She's fragile. She's heavily medicated by Victor. And Diane is just fueled by pure, unadulterated rage. It's like all the trauma from Dr. Markham's fake clinic, all the fear of losing Jack, and all the years of hatred just channeled straight into Diane's hands. She is screaming about how Victor and Nikki ruined her life, ruined Jack's life, caused all this pain. She is shaking Nikki, and Nikki is gasping for air. And where is Kyle doing all? He's standing right there. Kyle, do something. Pull your mother off, this frail woman. But everything is happening so fast. Kyle is probably just frozen in shock. The monitors in the room are probably beeping like crazy because Jack's heart rate is spiking. The nurses are probably running down the hall. It's just a complete and total mess. It is peak soap opera camp, but it is also genuinely terrifying because Diane looks like she is ready to commit murder. And then the most heartbreaking part of the whole scene happened. Jack, poor, bleeding, recently stabbed Jack Abbott, he is lying in that bed, barely conscious, in so much physical pain from the knife wound. And he has to wake up to his wife literally strangling his ex-wife at the foot of his bed. Jack just breaks down. He lifts his weak hands, he covers his face, and he just starts sobbing. He's crying, he's holding his face, and he's just screaming, "Stop! Please, just stop." Honestly, it just breaks my heart into a million pieces. Jack has been through so much. He just wants peace. He just wants his family to be safe and happy. And instead, he gets stabbed by Patty and wakes up to a literal death match in his recovery. You can hear the absolute despair in his voice. He is so tired. He is so broken. And seeing Diane act like a complete animal, seeing Nikki being violently attacked, it's just too much for him to process. He can't even sit up to stop them. He just has to lie there and cry. I mean, what is going to happen next? Is Victoria going to walk back into the room and see Diane choking her mother? Because if Victoria sees that, she is going to destroy Diane. Victoria will have Diane arrested for attempted murder before the nurses can even pull them apart. And what about Victor? When Victor finds out that Diane laid hands on his wife, he is going to unleash a level of hell on the Abbott family that we haven't seen in decades. Victor is already stealing Nikki's company out from under her, so maybe he'll use this violent attack to play the protective husband and isolate Nikki even more. See, Nikki? The Abbotts are dangerous. Diane is a maniac. You only have me. It plays perfectly into Victor's sick little narrative. He will use Diane's breakdown to completely trap Nikki. And honestly, can we really blame Diane for losing her grip? Let's look at the Patty Williams situation. Victor always thinks he can control the uncontrollable. He thinks he can bring a live grenade like Patty into town, pull the pin, and just walk away without getting any shrapnel. He probably thought Patty would just annoy Jack, maybe cause a little corporate scandal, and then leave. But Patty is deeply, clinically unwell. She shot Victor years ago. Why would he ever think she was a safe pawn to play with? Now, Jack is bleeding out, Ashley's family is kidnapped, and Diane is losing her mind. Victor's hubris is literally destroying the entire town. And yet, by Friday, Nikki is going to be starting a new chapter with him. It makes me want to pull my hair out. I swear, the writers just love torturing us with this dynamic. And what about Diane? Is she going to end up in a real mental institution? Because you can't just go around choking people in hospitals. Patty tried to make everyone think Diane was crazy, and now Diane is out here actually acting. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Patty won. Even from wherever Tracy left her, Patty won. She broke Diane's mind, and she broke Jack's body. I just can't with this storyline today. It's so good, but it's so heavy. I'm sitting here typing this, and my hands are literally shaking because I can just picture Peter Bergman's acting in that scene. The way Jack holds his face and cries, it's going to win him another Emmy, I swear. But at what cost? How much more trauma can the Abbott family take? Ashley is out there losing her mind because Abby and Dominic are kidnapped. Jack is stabbed. Diane is turning into an MMA fighter in the ICU. It's just chaos. Pure, unadulterated soap opera chaos. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, because I am honestly at a loss. I need to go lie down.